Welcome to another episode of Historical Markers. We're still in Grundy County. Today we're down in the Tracy City area, so let's see what kind of markers we can find down in this area. Skirmish at Tracy City. On January 20th, 1864, Confederate partisan Rangers led by Colonel John M. Hughes, 25th Tennessee Infantry, and Major Willis S. Bledsoe, 4th Tennessee Cavalry, attacked Union forces of the 20th Connecticut Company B under Lieutenant Colonel William B. Wooster. At Howard and Benham's store in an area known as the Heading, Confederates moved against Union occupiers. During the fighting, one Union soldier was killed and 2 Confederates were wounded. After capturing the Union commander and others and attempting a surrender of Federal forces, orders were given to parole the prisoners. The Confederates left with overcoats, blankets, and other needed supplies. Due to this military action, Tracy City, Tennessee was made temporarily useless as a source of coal for the Union. Christ Church Episcopal, town of Tracy City. From a humble start in a woodshed, an enduring legacy. Christ Church is the oldest continuously operating Episcopal church on South Cumberland Plateau. The appointments and surroundings were not all that could be desired, but the people gladly heard the word preached, reads the diary of the retired Reverend Charles Todd Quintard, Bishop of Tennessee, and Vice Chancellor of the University of the South, who on August 30th, 1868, conducted Christ Church's first service. The surroundings, he described, was a sawmill shed near the railroad depot. Worship services continued there until a community structure, Temperance Hall, was built for all denominations. In 1873, area Episcopalians erected their own church under the leadership of Milner Jones, a seminarian at the university. Jones was followed by the Reverend Henry Easter, the congregation's first ordained priest, who served from 1891 to 1896. A master craftsman, he carved the altar, bishop's chair, and other furnishings. The building was damaged severely by a storm, but miraculously, Easter's hand-carved works survived. The present church was built in 1925. On October 5th, 1952, the Father Adams Memorial Parish House was dedicated to honor the Reverend Alfonso Constance Adams, who served Christ Church for 2 decades. Father Adams, who was also active with the Boy Scouts of America, has a campground bearing his name near Foster Falls in South Cumberland State Park. Christ Church was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2015 and celebrated its 150th anniversary in 2018. And I'm going to say that was the parsonage. And there's the church. This marker is part of the Southeast Tennessee Religious Heritage Trail and is for the Christ Church Episcopal. The Episcopal Church was slow to start in Tennessee, with its first congregating dating from 1827 and the first bishop, James H. Otay, consecrated in 1834. At the beginning of the Civil War, there were only 27 clergymen and 1,500 communicants in the state. Bishop Otay died in 1865 and was replaced by Charles T. Quintard, whose administration brought great expansion of the church. On the 12th Sunday after Trinity, 1868, Bishop Quintard conducted the first Episcopal services in Tracy City under a sawmill shed near the train depot. The parish met in a building called Temperance Hall until 1873, when through the efforts of 3 widowed sisters, Miss Names Nance, Randolph, and Garner, Christ Church erected its first building. The building was the first church erected in Tracy City. The Reverend Henry Easter served Christ Church from 1891 to 1896, and during his term as priest, he hand-carved and assembled a new altar, bishop's chair, priest's chair, lectern, and communion rail. In 1928, the existing structure was erected to replace the 1873 structure, which was damaged by severe windstorms. The Reverend Easter's hand-carved furniture was moved to the new church and is still in use today. In 1952, the Father Adams Parish Hall was dedicated by Bishop Barth, and in 1968, during the church's centennial celebration, a new rectory was dedicated. And if we back up, here's the church today. Here's the Dutch Maid Bakery. It says the Dutch Maid Bakery is Tennessee's oldest family bakery, founded in 1902 by Swiss immigrants John and Louise Bagenstos, who moved to Tennessee in the 1880s. The Dutch Maid Bakery is Tennessee's oldest family-owned bakery. That's better. The Dutch Maid was rebuilt in the 1920s after an errant ember burned the bakery, but many of the ovens, mixers, and other pieces of equipment are the same that ones that have been used since then. The bakery stayed in the original and extended Bagenstos family until 2003, at which point it was closed. Cindy Day, the executive chef and baker, saw the bakery for sale while visiting the area and immediately knew that she had to buy and restore the bakery to its former glory. After purchasing the bakery in 2005, Cindy and her family reopened the Dutch Maid 18 months later, with the original spirit still intact, upholding the Dutch Maid tradition of baking from scratch. This is the E.L. Hampton House. From railroad ticket agent to coal company president, this house was built around 1895 by E.L. Hampton, then a ticket agent for the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis Railroad. In April of 1904, after the Tennessee Coal and Iron Company moved most of its operations to Alabama, Hampton leased TCI's remaining landholders in this area and organized the Tennessee Consolidated Coal Company, which continued to mine coal in the area until the 1990s. Although the TCC was often involved in major labor disputes with local miners, Hampton, as president of the TCC, was an important person in both company and Tracy City civic affairs. Hampton resided in this house until around 1924, when it was sold to Mr. and Mrs. Fritz Bagenstos. The period that Hampton resided in the house was both an important and productive period of mining for TCC. The E.L. Hampton House is a two-story vernacular frame home in the Queen Anne style. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1981. And there's the house today. Nearby in the early 1870s, a crude experimental blast furnace was built by Samuel E. Jones for the Tennessee Coal and Railroad Company called Flury Gizzard. The furnace was to determine if coke burn from the local coal was of suitable quality for making iron. The furnace produced only 15 tons of iron before the stovepipe fell on the third day of operation. However, the moderate success at Flury Gizzard contributed heavily to the development of the iron industry. In Tennessee and the South, and to the development of the Tennessee Coal and Iron Company, now a division of the United States Steel, into the South's largest steel producer. The parent organization of the Tennessee Coal and Railroad Company was the Sewanee Mining Company, whose president, Samuel Tracy, donated 5,000 acres of land, 1 million board feet of lumber, 20,000 tons of free transportation, and 2,000 tons of coal to the founding of the University of the South at Sewanee. Here they have a little Veterans Memorial here. I have a couple of markers. This is in Tracy City. First marker. It's for God and country. It's about World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Lebanon, Grenada, and Panama conflicts, and Desert Storm. And then the other marker over here talks about Operation Desert Storm, Persian Gulf War. On the back of this one is all the names. This marker talks about the Frank White House. We're in the town of Tracy City, an eclectic home with a do-it-yourself owner. The Frank White House is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The two-story brick house was apparently built by White circa 1890 and was reportedly used as both a residence and a school. According to historical accounts, Franklin M. White was born in Washington County, Virginia in 1847, and the family moved to Hawkins County, Tennessee in 1856 and on to Grundy County sometime before 1867 when his father died. Frank was a carpenter, still living with his widowed mother, Catherine, in 1870. By 1880, he had married Clara A. Law and moved out, living in Tracy City next door to his brother-in-law's family. For a time, perhaps during which this house was built, Frank became a boss at the coke oven operations in Trace City. Having been a carpenter, it may have been that Frank did much of the finishing work himself, contributing to the home's eclectic style. In March 1910, Frank died. His cause of death, described as pleuralgia, possibly neuralgia. At the time of his death, he was working as an insurance agent. Clara passed sometime before 1920. They are both buried in the family cemetery in Tracy City. The White House is an excellent example of late 19th century eclectic style house and is unusual in Grundy County because of its brick construction. The eclectic style of the house is illustrated through such architectural features as a side-lighted entryways and the frame porch with turn posts, stone sills and lintels, corbelled chimney, and cupola. In the 20th century, a pool was added in the backyard, and the house was renovated and modernized. So, here's the actual house that the marker is in front of. And see, Henry and Victor Flury moved to Tracy City from the Swiss colony in nearby Groot-Leger in 1902 to establish a meat market. They butchered their own meat, which had to be sold immediately as there was no refrigeration available. In 1905, Henry Flury went into business for himself, opening Henry Flury Staples and Fancy Groceries, what is known today as Henry Flury & Sons Grocery. In that day, a retail store had to handle a large variety of merchandise, not only groceries, but also feed, seed, hardware, clothing, shoes, and many more items. Until trucks came along, purchases were delivered by horse and wagon. That store burned in 1915, but was soon rebuilt on the same site. After Henry's 4 sons, Henry Jr., Sammy, Fritz, and Joe, joined the business, it became Henry Flury & Sons. It is the 1915 building that you see here today. Over time, the store has become a classic grocery store, including antiques, pictures, and relics from the past on display. The store remains a Flury family business. Today, the business is operated by 2 of Henry's grandsons. They run the store essentially the same way as their grandfather did, still offering monthly charge accounts for regular customers and delivering groceries to older and disabled folks. I actually spoke with one of the 2 brothers. They came out and saw me getting ready to record this, and he said that the other building was started just down the road before it was moved to this location, and he's still working here with his brother. This marker is for the Lone Rock Coke Ovens. The Tennessee Coal and Iron Company in 1883 built 120 coke ovens 6 miles east to help supply its growing ironworks. The company contracted with the state, and convicts worked the ovens until 1896. On August 13, 1892, Tracy City miners who opposed the use of convict labor burned the stockade and put the convicts on a train and sent them back to Nashville, as had been done in Anderson County, Tennessee in 1891. This marker in Tracy City, it talks about the Mountain Goat Railroad and Trail, a real-life version of the little engine that could. In the late 1840s, construction of the Nashville and Chattanooga Railroad was already in progress and had reached the base of the plateau below Sewanee. In 1853, Major A.E. Barney, a civil engineer, was commissioned to design a spur rail line to carry coal from the mines of the plateau to market, beginning in Sewanee and over time extending to Tracy City, Colmont, Grootelager, and Palmer. Barney's Mountain Goat Railroad earned its name due to its steep climb up onto the Cumberland Plateau from Cowan. At the time, it was the steepest railroad grade in the world. In its heyday, the Mountain Goat line ran 3 or 4 trains a day with both coal and passenger cars. It stopped running passenger cars in 1971 and freight trains in 1984. CSX officially abandoned the line in 1985 and removed the tracks in 1986. In the early 2000s, the Mountain Goat Trail Alliance was formed to transform nearly 40 miles of the former railroad bed into a paved multimodal trail. So I'm assuming that's the trail that is going through the park right over here, and that I am probably standing on. Looks like it goes through there as well. Here we have Roho the Coalminer, a miner's legacy of hard work, devotion to family, concern for community, and patriotism has had a continuous influence on succeeding generations. To honor them and preserve the memory of their contributions, the town of Tracy City dedicates this statue to inspire their descendants and all citizens of Grundy County. And here's the statue. This marker is for the Marugg Company, town of Tracy City, the business that Seiss built. So back in the history, we actually read about this once before. The company was formed to build Seiss using the techniques known back in Switzerland and Germany. See, when a better source of wood was found in Alabama, production increased again in the 1990s. More recently, a new market in the Amish communities provided the incentive to increase production, and the advent of online marketing has provided the ability to advertise and sell more widely. This is the Marugg Company. And this building has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places. This marker is welcoming you to Tracy City. You can pause and read all the various information there. It talks about the history of Tracy City, and it's all here in this nice little park. This mark, it looks like we have an aerial view of the business district of Tracy City. It's taken in the autumn of 1973. This marker is a fairly detailed map of Tracy City. Thank you for watching another episode of Historical Markers. And we hopefully finished up with this county. And so join us as we venture to other counties in the future. Like, subscribe, and we'd like to see you in future episodes.